All right, guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Let's Assess Podcast. Today, we've realized that we've never kind of told our story on, starting media in the first place and then mainly in the snowmobile world. So we're just going to kind of dive into it and tell you how we started, and maybe you can use some tips to get yourself started.
Look, I don't want to talk. How you try and press the kid and read it, you was soft.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to dive right into it. So we have Marcus and AJ here in the garage, like always, and this might be Marcus's last time, which will be a real shame. And so we're just going to dive into it right now. So
yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in this week. If you're liking what you're hearing, liking what you're seeing, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Kind of share along the journey with us. I'm not sure what the summer's going to bring, but definitely going to be some exciting stuff coming your way throughout the rest of the year, and keep building this into something. So,
yeah.
Kind of like to start this off. I guess we'll kind of let Brent jump into it because he was the first one kind of coming into the social media world. Some of mine and Marcus's backstory will tie in like in these same leading up to years to where we're at now. But I'm going to say like this is all like after high school stuff for all of us when things started kind of blending in. But yeah, Brent, if you want to kind of start how you got into Cook Bros.
Yeah, talking about high school. Well, yeah, so to begin, I guess we should talk about that. So right now, if you don't know, my main thing right now is Instagram, at Cook Bros on Instagram. We've been doing that for a couple years now, and I'll get into kind of the backstory, but and then their stuff is Powderbound Adventures now, and they're starting to do some social stuff and focusing more on business, as in like guiding people is their business. So to go back a little bit, in high school, I was a big basketball player, and that's kind of what I did all winter. So I'd ride on Sundays, and that's kind of it. And then once college rolled around, I wasn't playing basketball, and so I had a lot more time to ride snowmobiles, and that's always been my number one passion, is riding snowmobiles. And so it was probably my junior or senior year of college. Me and my brother were living together and going to school, or kind of going to school, and and anyway, I graduated. Anyway, so yeah. So I kind of just had this wild hair. I wasn't really watching that much social media snowmobile content, but I'm like, it kind of sucks because I love snowmobiling, but you can't really show anybody what you do. And then on top of that, it was like you can't really make it in the industry, it seems like, unless you're like a social media guy or you were in like the films back in the day or whatever. So me and my brother were just talking one day in our living room. We're like, dude, maybe we should just start like a social media page just basically for us to keep track of all the crazy memories. And at this time, we didn't have cameras or anything like that. We were just shooting on old iPhones, and I had a GoPro, like 3. And so we were just shooting on that. And then we kind of I started getting more passionate about it. And so that's I bought my first camera, just a cheap camera, and kept going with it and trying to stay consistent, and basically just learning the ropes of social media. Not that I know everything now, but I sure as heck know a lot more now than I did then. And back then, it's like we always talk about, it's like when we go out in public, like in Craig, because it's such a small town, bro, so many people would like make fun of us, honestly. And like, how's your little snowmobile page doing and all that stuff. And we just kept going because like it was just pure passion at that point. No money from it, obviously. We just loved to snowmobile. And then I started falling in love with like the content creation stuff as much as snowmobiling. So I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And then maybe like a year or two into it, it was like, I really want to all right, so anyway, we had to take a little break there. Puppy problems over there. So I think he's feeling all right now. Anyway, so we went like a couple years with it, and we stayed consistent. We didn't really have a following or anything like that, but we were just having a lot of fun with it. And then I got, hooked on like cameras and like actual like trying to create content, editing the stuff. And from there, it just started slowly growing. And the goal was just to stay consistent. And it wasn't really that hard for me to stay consistent because I just loved doing it. And so the winters kind of turned into this thing of like, we need to ride and have fun, but we also need to like capture a lot of content and try to like spread it out throughout the whole year. And so that's what we did for like, I'd say a full year, maybe 2 years. And then kind of in the last year and a half, I'd probably say year, we've kind of taken it more seriously. And then we kind of dipped our toes in YouTube, trying to create some of those videos. This winter wasn't great for that because the snow was hit and miss, and then I had to work 6 days a week, so we didn't really have time to get a lot of film for that. So we're mainly focusing on Instagram and then this podcast that we'll kind of tie in later. But anyway, so we kept doing that, and now we're kind of at the point where it's like we want, obviously the dream would be to go full time with this, but that's a lot easier said than done when it comes to trying to make money off of it. So we are in the process. If you guys have been following us on Instagram, I'm starting to launch like basically merch and like clothing stuff under a brand Blackbird that we came up with that has its own story in itself, but we'll get into that sometime. But anyway, so we're kind of trying to take it more seriously now is basically the thing. And obviously the biggest thing with it is trying to get time to do it with working, 6 day a week jobs. But we're doing the best we can. Like right now I'm on my lunch break shooting this podcast. So it's juggling a lot, but the passion for snowmobiling, the passion for content has never really died for me. So I'm just chugging along and basically going to see where it goes off to. I'd say probably in the last year and a half, the page has taken off more than ever. We're at this point of shooting this, we're in the low 30,000 follower range, which isn't massive, but for a snowmobile page and a couple dingus guys, it's not bad. So we're just going to keep going and kind of see where it takes us. So that's, with that in mind, that's kind of where AJ in the last, what was that? That was last winter.
Last winter is when we first started together. Really.
So we've grown up together, or we haven't grown up together. We grew up in the same town, went to the same high school, but AJ's an old man, so he's older than me.
Yeah, a couple years older than Brent.
Yeah, and we didn't really, I knew he raced Snowcross, but we never hung out or anything like that up until about a year ago.
I think we were like just enough years apart that like we never were like in each other's classes or like anything. Like we were never had an opportunity to really talk to each other. Like there was no, you were in basketball, I was like out in high school, like doing the racing stuff. Like there was just no intertwining of us then. And then, so I'll kind of start like through high school. Oh, I started racing when I was 4 and raced all the way through till I was 21. And that's when I met Marcus, was the last 3 years of racing. His dad had a professional snowcross team. I raced on that in 2017. And then in 2018, we worked together team-wise and stuff like that. So I met Marcus then, and then that's like I tried my racing career. Pretty soon realized that like, hey, 1, you're not good enough to make money at this. 2, your body's falling apart. And 3, you probably should start looking for a career, because it just wasn't like I wasn't good enough to make the next step. So once I realized that, I started closing out the snowcross thing in 2019. That was the last year I raced. So 2020 was my first winter riding backcountry snowmobiling. Like I always had race sleds growing up. So we rode in the mountains, but never like had a backcountry sled or really rode in the mountains. My dad had, but not like, we focused more on racing my whole childhood. So that was my first time having a mountain sled. And
it was in 2020
or 2020. Yep,
2020.
Yep. So that was my first winter mountain riding. And I, wasn't guiding, nothing like that. Like I was just riding for fun, and fell in love with the like, oh, there's no pressure in this. There's like, you can just go have fun. You can do whatever you want. Like you can enjoy it. Hey, if you wake up and don't want to go ride, you can just not go ride. Like that was awesome. So I really enjoyed that, but I get winters off, primarily off. So I got super bored. Like there wasn't enough people for me to ride with in town.
Your career.
With my career. Yeah. So I did. I found a career. I am an equipment operator for the state. And I have a special little program set up that like winters are very, very slow for me. I burn a lot of comp time that I make through the summer. So anyway, while doing that, like my winters are super slow and I could just ride. Well, I didn't have enough friends that rode to suffice like keeping me like busy. I would get bored in the winter. So that's when I started up at Thunderstruck as a guide. And I did that for 3 winters, like guided, learned, like you just learn so much riding every single day.
Yeah,
Because I was riding, I think that one winter I rode like 70 days, which in Marcus's eyes is nothing because he does a lot more than that, or did a lot more than that. But
that's a lot of days, dude. I mean, for an average person, like I would guess the average person goes 10,
10
days
probably.
maybe.
10 to 20 probably would be like max for somebody through a winter. So yeah, like I did 70, like it was probably between 70 and 80. Like it was so much riding. It was insane. And you just like, your skill level ramps up so fast and so much in that. So,
and then you're teaching people on top of that.
You're teaching people.
Helps
so then,
you.
Yeah. You're helping yourself not knowing it. And then, so did that for 3 years, had a lot of fun doing that. Realized that like, okay, this is a way to make money in the winter time doing something I love, because I love snowmobiles. Like I never see myself not living somewhere or owning a snowmobile, or like I just have to have it. Like that's a have to thing. So with knowing that, it's like, well, how can you afford this horrible habit to ride 70 days a winter if that's what it would be? And it's like, well, one, start a business that way, or just be a trail tour guide, And it's like, okay, well, it was burnout with the whole trail tour guide scenario thing. It just wasn't fun anymore. I wasn't pushing myself. I'm kind of in a weird place personally, I would say. And this was 2022. I started feeling this. 2023 definitely was like a shift for me personally. Working at the state, I just never got that fulfillment that I was doing something greater than just an everyday job. I needed something business-wise, something to push myself to like think on like, and I'm just going to use like building the business, Powderbound Adventures, which is mine and Marcus's business. So building Powderbound Adventures was something that I needed to do personally to build myself and make me grow as a human. So that's what pushed me into that next stage. I think I've changed as a person in the last year just because it's helped me grow. Like I used to be the shy kid that didn't want to talk or anything like that. Catch myself talking to people randomly now. That used to never be me. Just little things like that. But like I'm growing with the business, and I'm really enjoying that process. So I saw that shift that I needed a change. Obviously we initiated that change. Me and Marcus started talking about this stuff at the end of winter 2023 and like what we're going to do, what we wanted to do. And then through the summer, we kind of started like putting steps in place, and then things started falling together. Like beginning of 2024, like January 24, first week, actually. It was,
because you guys didn't think you were going to be able to do it. And then,
yeah, no, we didn't think like Powderbound Adventures was a dream at that point. Like December 31st, Powderbound Adventures was a dream. Our plan going into this winter was Marcus was going to come out, stay at my parents' house. We were going to ride snowmobiles and get content to open the business for next year. And then, well, the winter sucked. So Marcus like delayed him coming out here. I started bugging the Forest Service more because I have all this time on my hands because I'm not, doing construction anymore. So I'm bugging the Forest Service, working through all that stuff. And middle of January, we were fortunate enough to land a permit. And then things started falling together with another permit, and Savage Sisters were partnering with them, or Savage Sledders. So like that was like all this stuff started happening early January. All these things are just coming together. Talking with Marcus like every other day, probably on the phone, texting each other every day, just like working through things, seeing what we like need to do, what we don't need to do, landing all the paperwork stuff, getting that taken care of. And then Marcus came out here, middle of January. We have the permit then, and we're like, well, we might as well open. So we buy a bunch of gear, get a couple sleds. Like, we're going to make this.
Got a killer shop.
Yeah, well, so that comes in. Then, like, a little bit later, Marcus gets an awesome shop for us here in town. And, you know, things just like within a month, Powderbound Adventures was born, like all of a sudden, you know, by February, middle of February, well, actually, I should say 1st of February, we had our first like clients. And then it was like nonstop for February, like all of February. And then a couple weeks of March was just like gangbusters. Like we just were booking people, riding with people. Like it was just constant. So that was like a super ramped up fast, like all of a sudden, here we are, we're on the map, like we're going. So still the goal for this winter was to get content. And that's kind of where we circle back into with Brent is a year ago when, I guess a year and a half ago, probably it would have been.
Something like
I was
that,
getting
yeah.
stuff put together for Thunderstruck. And that's when I ran into Brent and was like, hey, like we're looking for some media. Like, would you be interested in that? So he was like, yeah, I'm game. So we started talking about it, did a couple things with Thunderstruck up there. And then once I was no longer with them, we started riding together because, well, once again, I found myself I was bored, nobody to ride with, etc.
Ouch.
So
I had literally no other choice.
I was like, oh shit, Brent, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No. So we started riding and we shot some content, and it kind of sparked an interest in my eye of the content and the making the content. And I don't think Brent fully knew how much it sparked in me. Just like the one day that we went and rode up in North Route, like it really sparked an interest in me. Obviously I have no knack for it still, but
It takes a long time.
it was something that like it intrigued me. Like, okay, this is something needed for the business, but also needed like for self-fulfillment, because at that point I didn't have the business or anything like that. Now I don't know what I'm doing. I can't swim even, but it's like we started talking, and then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, let's do, when was it? Was it like March when we started talking about the podcast?
Yeah, or I think maybe late April.
Okay. So like,
Because I think
I guess
May
winter,
we actually
winter
did it.
ran late. Yeah. Winter ran super late. And me and you rode like what, 3-4 times together.
Yeah. At this time last year,
We were
you
still
could go up
riding.
and ride like good fluffy snow still.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was snowing every day still.
Yeah. No, it was
So,
crazy.
yeah.
So I had this idea of like a podcast would be sweet. And then I don't know how we somehow came together telepathically to the same conclusion. We're like, I don't even remember what I went down to your office for. Oh, I was buying a laptop.
Oh, yeah.
I was buying a laptop, and I was like, I don't even know what I need for a laptop, but you were willing to help me. So I went down and was talking to you in your office, and you're like, man, I want to do a podcast, but I need a co-host or a partner in it. And like, if you don't want to do it, just tell me, like, so on and so forth. We talked about it for a while. And
I remember the first thing you said is, I don't really like talking on camera. That's like the first thing you said.
Yeah,
You're like, yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't really like talking on camera. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's what everyone says.
that's part of it. So
Yeah.
figure it out. But no, it was something like I wanted a Snowmobile podcast and wanted to be a part of a Snowmobile podcast. Not that we're just a Snowmobile podcast, but I knew they'd be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a space for it, right? Obviously, that's why we're doing it. We think there's a space for it. But it was something that I was interested in. And when you put it out there, I was like, let's do it. Like,
Yeah.
let's double down. Let's do it. And I think within a month we had our mics and the stuff, and we are like, well, let's start shooting podcasts and see where it goes, right? Like, see, we're not going to get better unless we do it. So we shot our first podcast. I was super stoked on it. I thought it went really good. I was terrified.
Yeah,
the
we
whole
both
time.
got up. We're like, dang, dude, that actually sounded pretty good.
Yeah, that was really good. So since then, like since shooting our first podcast, I feel like we've gotten a lot better. I feel like we have a lot better equipment with it. I feel like we're very professional with the podcast. And that's been the whole goal since day one, was like not just to be another another pastime, I guess, really.
Yeah.
And that's our hope, is not to be a pastime, I guess.
Yeah, and I think there's still a lot of stuff within the podcast that we need to get better at.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
we're not
yeah.
good by any means.
But that's the
yet.
thing is, like, you watch Joe Rogan or whoever, or just any like media creator or anyone doing anything that they're good at. It's like they didn't start that way. So we just have to keep going and get better year after year, basically.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Yep.
I mean, it's like I look at my old content on Instagram that I thought was so sick at the time, and it's like, dang, dude, that sucks.
Yep.
But I know in like a year or 2 years, I'm gonna look back on the stuff I'm posting now and think the same thing. Or I hope I think the same thing.
I do that on the thing that I posted last week. I'm like, damn, what were you doing? Like just this morning, actually, we were talking about a reel that absolutely flopped and didn't do good that we thought for sure was going to be one of the better ones. And I looked back and watched it and I was like, what were you doing editing that? Like now, even now, like
That's just how it goes.
2 months later, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of puts us in timeline, me and you together, podcast started, working together, coming into this winter of, you know, where we were going to be at for this winter. So Marcus, what's kind of your upbringing? Like, what's your story from like meeting me in the snowcross world to coming out guiding to where we are now? Your first thoughts on Brent mainly.
Who's this guy?
Ow.
No, I met AJ, racing snowcross for a couple of years there at the end. And after I graduated high school, I started college, and that was all online during COVID.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Yeah.
It sucked. It was like 6.5, 7 hours on a computer all day, and I would go to work for half the day, then come home, sit on the computer. So I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. Kind of hung that up, and he was working for Thunderstruck at the time. So I got in contact with him and ended up getting a job the next winter out there. I think. Would it be 22?
22, yep. Yeah.
22, 23, yeah.
Yep.
So you worked there 1 year?
2.
2 years.
Oh, 2 years. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, then from there, kind of just struggled by each day as it came, and now we're here, I guess.
Yeah.
Working on something new.
Yeah, so the first time I met Marcus was AJ talked to me about going and filming at Thunderstruck, and I went out there and I don't know why, I just assumed I was filming probably AJ. And then he's like, yeah, man, I got to teach a class on how to get trail sleds unstuck. And I'm like, wait, so who am I videoing that or what? Or like, I don't know what I'm videoing.
What am I showing up for?
Yeah. And he's like, no, you're going to film this kid named Marcus and then Tony and Landon.
Yeah.
So we went out and filmed, and I was impressed with Marcus, you know, the very first time I rode with him. And then we went back out and filmed that day in Kelly Park.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn.
The thing about
sick.
Marcus that impressed me is like, how long have you been, I mean, you've been riding snowmobiles for your whole life too, but like, how long have you been mountain riding? Like, you obviously come from Minnesota. So like your first couple winters of mountain riding, you rode what, 3-4 times?
If that. I was out in like the first couple of years I rode, I think was senior year in high school. And I was out 1, maybe 2 times that year.
Really?
And on, 3-day trips.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think I'm on year 5.
Year 5 of mountain riding. Okay. So like, what was your, like, what do you think accelerated your riding? Because I mean, I think I'm a pretty decent rider, but you're even like far above me in that sense. And like, what do you think accelerated your riding? Like, is it just that you have no fear and all balls, or like, was it the riding 90 days a year? Like what accelerated you to the point? Because when I watch you, I see differences in your confidence of like, when I started getting stuck, I like get that defeated, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But like, you never back out. Like, you never accept defeat. And that's something that I wish like I could do, but I don't know how to look like what you do because I just can't get that feeling, I guess. So what do you think accelerated you to that point?
Probably that I've never gotten hurt yet. Like never gotten hurt bad.
Yeah.
Because once you do that, you start to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But definitely the 90 days on snow last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, but think about 90 days, dude. That's like a normal guy riding 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And you got it in 1 winter.
A lot of experience.
You progress all at once, but it comes to a halt really quick.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, what am I supposed to do now? you know?
Yeah, but like think about from last year to this year, you progressed a lot.
Right. But do I got to do a backflip now to get better or what?
Yeah,
I don't want to do a backflip.
That's what the Instagram wants. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do get that.
Yeah.
I definitely get that.
It's like you can only, I know I'm not the best rider, but you can only get so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's kind of a topic in its own, but yeah. I mean, it's like I need to get hopovers dialed and the jumping dialed.
Yeah.
I mean, I have, along the stretch, but it's like even Chris Brant and Caleb Kosterky, I feel like they could even get better.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, it starts slowing down and it starts to get more boring. I don't know if that's a word, but it's like it's so like when you're beginning and it goes from like can't get off the trail. Now I can ride a meadow. Then I can ride trees. It's like, oh my God, these are huge steps.
Yep.
But then it's like you're talking about, you can only make your reentry so good.
Yep.
Unless you want to start airing them out. And then, I mean, there's always progression. That's not what I'm saying, but
there's always progression, but you start getting bored doing it's not as exciting like that new, like, oh my God, I just did my first reentry, right?
But
like,
I think a lot of it too is like, it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they just can't get over that mental thing. Like, for example, talking about a backflip. You could probably do it if you worked on it, but it's like, and I'm not answering for you. I'm just saying, like, do you actually want to try that? Do you want to risk that? I don't know. No. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it gets to that point where it's like, you got to go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like a lot of guys, I know a lot of guys that they're at that point where they need to do that, but it's a mental thing. It's not like I don't understand how to get the sled on edge anymore. Yeah. That's not a mental thing. That's like someone telling you how to do it and you just going and doing it.
Yeah.
This is like, I mean, how much bigger of a jump can I hit where I don't think like I could have just died right there. Like that was way stupid.
No, and I think that's what we're seeing with all three of us, honestly, is we're getting to that point, and it's like I started noticing it with content this year. It was like, okay, we're all three doing the same stuff. We're all three hitting the same things. Like, what not separates us, but what separates us from other people on social media? Okay, nothing. What can we do differently? Well, I don't really want to do a backflip. So what do we do?
But then you got 50 guys out there doing backflips and posting it every day.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, you do a backflip. Okay, now you're number 51 that does backflips now,
Yeah.
So what I noticed was like, how do we keep pushing like ourselves? How do we keep like it exciting? Because it's not exciting. It's exciting. It's fun. I'm not going to say like,
we have a blast every day on the
every
snow.
time we ride. It's fantastic. But then you get back and you're editing it, and that's all you rack your mind on is like, what can we do differently? How can we like do a different line through the trees? Like, how can we find a way to film that? How can we like different ways of thinking about it? And I kind of think I don't think I'm ever going to be the backflip guy. I'm not going to be the like super crazy technical guy on a sled. Like my riding style doesn't seem to go that direction. Like I feel like I'm pretty much at what I'm at. Like I'm feeling that. I'm not old by any means, but I'm just starting to feel like.
But you think it's a mental thing?
I think so. I don't think I want to get hurt. There's something like, even like the last time we were hitting that jump where you were hitting that little jump and it was like, I got to get over that knuckle. I went over the knuckle once and that was enough for me.
Yeah.
And then Marcus like did it a couple times and I was like, yeah, I just don't have to do that. Yeah. Like I don't know. There's something mentally blocking me there, not wanting to push it to that next envelope and like at that point. But I also still want to get better. So I'm at this really crossroads of like, what do I keep pushing it? Like what is it? So that's something that this winter or this summer I'm going to really think on is things that I can do to be creative in a different way without taking so much risk on, especially now with the business and everything like that. I really got to think about, hey, we got to get content, yet also we can't be yard selling ourselves every day, because honestly, once we started getting a little less clients and we started just getting content, I started feeling it in my body a lot more than just, taking clients out guiding and pulling skis and stuff like that. Like all of a sudden it was like, wow, yeah, you're starting to get old maybe. I don't know.
That whole conversation that we just had is like the exact thing of the way I look at it is like your content right now
Yep.
is based on how good you guys are in the snow,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. 100%.
And so you get to the point where it's like, how many more reentries and how many more hopovers and how many more POW days can you post?
Yep.
Like your followers know that you guys can do all that.
Correct.
So the thing is like, that's where I'm at. And I mean, I'm the same way, honestly.
Yeah. No, I think
It's-
we're in that same.
But it's like, now you gotta, it's like I was saying the other day, it's like, now it's your job as a content creator to figure out what content to do next.
Yep.
And that's the thing. So it's like the people, you can cut up a different, reentry 9 different ways, but it's like, it's not only your followers get bored with it, you can always get more followers, but it's like you get bored with it.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's like, what is the next step? I mean, are you guys gonna go more into content, lean into content, and try to do like maybe summer stuff?
I don't
Summer
think,
hunting stuff, or is it just snowmobile?
I think we're going to be pretty strictly snowmobile with the Powderbound Adventures page. Our personal pages will probably be our summer stuff, like Marcus does demo derbies, and I do hunting and stuff like that. So like, I think what we need to do is each of us need to like start practicing more with our other hobbies, like getting content, filming, etc. And we just need to like more round ourselves with being better with the camera and being better with getting like entertaining content. And when I say entertaining content, might as well just say comedy. Like that's the thing that seems to bring in new people. Like that's what I'm finding. I'm sure you've seen the same thing, but like we need to find a way to have more than just a reentry bow tie jump profile. And that's what we're going to focus on, is trying to get more comfortable with being on camera for one, and two, like getting ourselves personally more out there on the internet, building our brand more personally, and not just so much our riding skill, because you could be the best rider in the world, but if you don't have any platform to share it, what good does it do you?
Yeah.
So that's what I think we need to work on personally.
What do you think for you? Like, do you want to like do you want to be like a Caleb Kosturki, where it's like you focus on your riding and make a living off your riding, or what do you think?
I think them days are over. I don't think you can do that anymore. There's too many people at the same level.
Yeah.
Unless, like, he started early enough to where he could do it.
Yeah.
And yet he's still doing the whole proven progression thing, and it's another income source.
Yeah.
I think,
But also the thing you got to think about too, that we fail to think about, is we're way better than the average riders.
Yeah.
So they like to see it.
yeah. Well, and I think that's something with our business model is, at Powderbound Adventures, we need to display that we can still do those things. But I think it's important that we are healthy and can display what we can do, but not be so hurt and broke up that like we don't need to be pushing the envelope doing monster stuff. But like everything that we did this winter, I feel like was within reasonable like expectations, and we could do that and show people, like showcase our skill, showcase our talent. And a majority of the snowmobilers, we could go and teach something new and show them like something they've never seen before on a snowmobile potentially, right? Like I think we can meet that market with what we're doing, but I don't know how much more Instagram banger, like, wow, I need to go do like, what's the guy from Sweden doing the Andreas. Yeah. Like we are not going to be him, and we just need to face that fact that we're not going to be doing that next level crazy shit. We got to get our marketing. And,
Marcus is like, speak for yourself.
yeah.
Nobody will ever be him.
Yeah. And I mean,
Dude, yeah, some of the stuff he does is just insanity.
yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, at Powderbound Adventures, Marcus is the talent 100% for that. Like I go, do a reentry on that rock. And he's like, all right. And goes and he's like, I don't know if I can. And it's like, oh, shut up. You can. You're
Just
fine.
get lucky.
So then he just goes and whips it out, and it's just like, yeah, couldn't do it,
Yeah.
So like he's 100% got the talent, but I think that's where we need to like rein ourselves in and focus more on the building the brand, building the business, building that.
I mean, what is your guys' goal for social media?
Man, I'd love to get to as many followers as you have, but honestly, I think if we got like 10,000 people on Instagram, and then I think more recently, lately, we've been talking more like a YouTube, like weekly vlog style with clients, right?
Like the BBA stuff?
Yeah. Like if we did something that type, and our quality is going to have to drop back. We're not going to be able to shoot on our cameras and stuff like that, just because when you're guiding people and they're paying you, like you can't be like taking the time to get your camera out and all that. I mean, you can a little bit, right? And they're cool with a little bit, but at the end of the day, we're still providing a service for them. We just want to kind of have this be a cherry on top type thing. So
you're going to start a weekly vlog?
Potentially, yeah. That's
the thing with
hope.
YouTube is it just takes a lot of time.
Well, that's the thing.
Like that's why you look at Brent, he's got a media guy.
And we don't know, like I don't want to make any guarantees or promises, but like to do GoPro style vlogish type thing, just our day as a guide at, PBA is what we want to do. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of editing. It's going to be a lot of there's a lot of time that's going to have to get dedicated and go into that. So we're going to give it a try and see how it goes. No promises that we can make it work, but we're going to try to do something that style, and hopefully that'll gain us, a new follower group, maybe keep us a little bit more relevant with the social media stuff. But I honestly would like to get Instagram to like 5,000 to 10,000 followers. I think that would be a good supply base of like snowmobilers, actual snowmobilers.
Yeah.
That's my goal, right?
Yeah.
250 strong, so I'm getting there.
No, you're getting there quick.
But
yeah, dude, the social media thing it's a mind game.
Oh, it is. And that's so I guess kind of to build into this full topic, like to bring us full circle, is Brent is the reason I bought a camera. Brent is the reason I have Final Cut Pro on my laptop, because I don't have a clue how I even downloaded it. Marcus wants to get a laptop, and I was thinking the other day, I was like, I don't even know how to walk him through to get to where you got me. I'm like, shit, I'm going to have Brent do that, So that's one of those things that like I wouldn't be where I'm at without Brent. Brent has showed me a lot, and I'm grateful for that, because he's helping us build our business in a way that we can afford to without as much. Like, yeah, you say we got to 250 followers fast because it took you so much longer, but the only reason we got that fast is because of you showing us how to get
I appreciate it.
Content,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your help.
Dude, that's the thing. People I've talked to so many people about this, but it's like the thing, in my opinion, unless you just have like your Andreas or in the snowmobile world, or Kosturki, or you're a really good looking individual, or you're really good at basketball, or like you're the best in the industry at that.
Yep.
The 95 or 99% of people that like are doing social media, I mean, I can name 15 people that I know just in this small little town that have tried to do social media. They want to become an influencer in their industry, and they do it for 3 weeks. They have 10 followers. Okay, their mom and their dog and their two other neighbors.
And their other account.
And their other account. And then they just quit.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the thing, is like, the way I look at it with anything, like if you do it enough and you will not give up and you will not, listen to what everyone else has to say, you eventually will figure it out. You have to.
Yep.
Social media is one of those things where, like being in the NBA, you're talking about realizing that I wasn't good enough at Snowcross to go to the next step.
Yep.
Same with me with basketball. I don't have the genetics. I'm not 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
No, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's exactly what it is. 100%.
So you just get to that point, but that is the great thing about social media.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Well,
it's like if you try hard enough, if they try hard enough for long enough, they will eventually figure something out that works.
Yep.
But no one will do that.
I'm 3 months into the Powder Bound Adventures Instagram, right, and Facebook, and there's already things that I've been learning, and like obviously talking to you, like these things were kind of like relevant to you already, but I had to see for myself the difference. I post a video of Marcus doing 2 nasty bow ties, right? And it's like
12 views.
Yeah. Seriously though, you know? And it's like, what?
12
like
views.
it was a sweet edit. It had good music, like everything, like good hash. Like there was nothing that should have held that thing back. And then I'll post a stupid video of me rolling my sled over, making a grunting noise.
I liked your
Insert grunting
noise.
right? So like you post something like that, and that's our best reel to date. But like literally it was me just like flailing like a damn fish and rolling my sled back over. And it wasn't even the flailing fish part. I haven't even posted that part. That's coming next, right?
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. The fish is coming. But
Yeah.
But no, like you start learning these things with it. What works, what doesn't, what hashtags work, what hashtags don't work. Too many hashtags. Like there's just so much stuff to that like you start learning with it. You start putting those pieces together. And I went through a phase there where I was posting like every single day for like 4 weeks. And it was like steady growth, like 3-4 followers every day. I was like, man, this is working. And then I realized, well, like I started seeing the trend of like social media falling on its face with the wintertime snowmobile stuff. And that's where I kind of made the like decision of like, okay, you don't have a ton of content to get you through to next winter. So you need to like save back a little bit. So there's some new stuff out. So that's where I like kind of dialed back and to do like a post or 2 posts a week just because I don't have that much content. I'm going to have to find some more creative ways to do with it. But I haven't gotten that far with my editing to know how to do more with it, right? I've got a really good base of content, but I need to get better as a content maker. So that's my goal this summer is to get better at making content. And like, hopefully that'll give me some skills to make me a little faster, maybe making a YouTube video, because right now it'd probably take me 24 hours to make a 15-minute YouTube video.
But, well, dude, and the other thing, I think with a business, like one of your number one things that you should do is like behind the scenes business stuff.
Yeah. And that's kind of what
Like
we want to
reels,
get more
like
into.
Just
Yeah.
do it on reels.
Well, yeah, even that. Yeah.
Dude, but it's like you go back to that rolling the sled over video and versus like the bow ties and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, think of the population that can relate with the flipping your sled over
Exactly.
versus the population that can relate to him riding.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah, it's awesome. Like
awesome
it's
to see.
all good.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see, but it's like there's a guy that's like, dang, that was me last weekend, grunting to get my
Exactly.
snowmobile over.
Yep.
There's very few the population looks at Marcus and like, that was me last weekend.
Exactly.
They're like, I wish I could do that, which
Yep.
still is a great thing to post.
I think you have to have a mixture of both, but I think what kills those videos is like people look at it and they go, wow, that's cool, but that ain't me. They won't like it. They won't engage with it. Where the grunting, they're like, haha, that was me last weekend too. So they like it, you know? Like,
I think social media, it started out and it's always been like this very polished highlight reel of everyone, whether
Yeah.
you're in the fitness industry, whether you're whatever you're in.
Yeah.
But I'm making a prediction right now. I guarantee you in the next couple years, you're going to see a lot of people that take off. Well, I'm already seeing them that take off, that they're literally the most average people that are not polished. They're not edited. They're shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
And people just relate with them.
Yeah.
People like that.
Yep.
And I think social media is going that way.
I 100%
really do.
agree. I think that's relatable for people. I mean, the relatable stuff is what people are engaging with. And when even people are engaging with it, it goes viral.
Yeah.
If people aren't engaging with it, it just tanks. And yeah, I think you're right. The polished version of social media is going to the wayside, and it's more day in the life of, you know, like and I think that's where we are going to take Powderbound Adventures is we're going to take you in the day of the life of being a snowmobile guide and the background of what it takes for us to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think, Marcus?
I don't think that much.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I think that's a really good tie of where we're at, where we came from to where we're at now, a little bit of future. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more on the future as things come. Me and Marcus have been super busy the last week winding down Powder Bound Adventures. Our snow kind of went to shit, and we focus on true backcountry snowmobiling, and we don't want to provide a bad experience. So our snow went to concrete, and we're packed up. We're closing our doors. So we're winding that down. We've been getting a lot of exciting stuff ready for next year, getting sleds ordered, getting different gear, looking at gear, all that type of stuff. So some really exciting things coming for us. And yeah, just brainstorming ideas to grow, become better. And I think we want to be one of the big outfitter, guide, adventure, whatever you want to call it, places for snowmobiles. And the next 5 years, we're going to be something. So keep an eye out.
Hell yeah, boys.
We might hire Brent to be our media guy.
Yeah. I'll do it for 8 cents a day.
If you'll do it for 8 cents, we'll pay for your fuel and your sled.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's kind of a little background story on where we're at right now. And thank you guys for listening. Subscribe, like, share. We love you guys. And until next time, let her eat.